Attention chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse. I am Dr. Anthony Pellegrino from ChiroEdge, and welcome to this week's episode of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, where each week we break down the most relevant chiropractic science and philosophy to empower you with the ammo and certainty necessary to change your community from the inside out. I am so excited to be here with you guys this week. I want to apologize for those of you guys who stay up to date on the podcast. I had put it on our page that we were a couple days behind because I sounded like Steve Urkel. I came down with a man cold. I was expressing health quite well, where my body was attempting to push everything out via my sinuses and nose, and it would have sounded really funny to record a podcast. So I didn't. So I apologize for that, and that kind of stuff is pretty scary, and just simply because, it's a man cold, right? So it's fine. I was in the office. I was sniffling in between every practice member. I did doctor's reports. I had the biggest doctor's report of all time, and I couldn't breathe through my nose, which is really funny, and my wife actually got expressed health the next day, and she was like, I can't believe you did a doctor's report last night. And it was good to get through, but it's like, man, if I was more sick than that, if I was expressing more health and I had to shut down the office, that's a lot of people who aren't going to get served. And right now I'm a solo practitioner in the office. We have a good team of 3. Our team is amazing. It's myself, my wife, and our 3 team members, and we love them and they're great. But I hope you guys join me on this journey of creating more sustainable businesses versus just things that rely on us. Our communities deserve chiropractic care, and they deserve us to be in our game. So I'm going to make it a point over the next year to create a business that will run without me there, just simply because, man, if something happens to me, that's going to be a lot of people who aren't served. So I hope that you kind of join me on that journey. One of the reasons we created ChiroEdge in the first place was to be able to be your ally in delivering this type of information to your community in patient newsletter format, and not make you worry about going and reading research and constantly being up on material and making things that when your team goes to go make those newsletters, that you're not worried about, hey, is this something that's actually factual and true that they found on some random chiropractic blog that was chiromath and was made up, or is it actually come from research? So we just want to do all that homework for you. So to sign up to receive information like this, to get a free 2-week trial, please jump on ChiroEdgeMedia.com. Now with that, this is the beginning of March 2019. So if you're listening on time, it's the beginning of March. So it's the beginning of Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. And one of my favorite populations to serve in our practice outside of kids and families is individuals who are suffering with MS, because they do so well. So we're going to go ahead and address and dive into a study from 2004 that was published in the Journal of Vertebral Subluxation Research. I think this is before. Now that's the Annals of Vertebral Subluxation Research, but it says right here on the paper I'm looking at, Journal of Vertebral Subluxation Research. I don't know the history there, but awesome. That's cool. And it's called 81 Patients with Multiple Sclerosis and Parkinson's Disease Undergoing Upper Cervical Chiropractic Care to Correct Vertebral Subluxation, a Retrospective Analysis. So 81 patients with MS and Parkinson's disease. You bet I'm going to be pretty excited to go through this. So right from the abstract, what they say is that the objective of this article is threefold. It's number 1, to examine the role of head and neck trauma as a contributing factor to the onset of MS and Parkinson's disease. 2 is to explore the diagnosis and treatment of trauma-induced injury to the upper cervical spine through the use of protocol developed by the International Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association. And the 3rd is to investigate the potential for improving and arresting multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease through the correction of trauma-induced upper cervical injury. Awesome. So it's really interesting that this is 2004. So this predates Dr. Raymond Damadian and Scott Rosa upper cervical upright MRI research from 2011 you may have heard us talk about, where they actually looked at and saw how about the cervical spine had changed position following whiplash injuries in MS cases, and how with specific upper cervical care, confirmed on upright MRI, it restored proper cerebrospinal fluid flow and saw huge improvements in symptoms of multiple sclerosis. And that was actually something that was really cool. And that's just something that we always kind of keep on lockdown, that research right there. If you guys want to look into that, it's called The Possible Role of Craniocervical Trauma and Abnormal Cerebrospinal Fluid Hydrodynamics in the Genesis of Multiple Sclerosis. And that's published by Raymond V. Demadian and David Chu of the Phonar Corporation, which is the upright MRI inventors. So background info from this study is, while the link between head trauma and the later development of Parkinson's disease or multiple sclerosis remains controversial, many Parkinson's disease and MS researchers have confirmed the connection. On average, these studies found that the head trauma occurred 2 to 3 decades prior to Parkinson's disease onset. Dr. Poser says, who's a medical doctor who's referenced throughout this paper, he says, in some patients with MS, certain kinds of trauma to the brain and or spinal cord, including whiplash injuries, may act as a trigger at some time for the appearance of new or recurrent symptoms. He goes on to suggest that the trauma to the CNS may alter the blood-brain barrier, which is a critical step in the formation of MS, because there's an autoimmune response in the brain, and for some reason, like that's not supposed to happen. So if there's an aberration, if there's a problem with the blood-brain barrier, that's what would permit that to happen. He cites research where trauma on monkeys creates degradation of that blood-brain barrier, and references how spondylosis of the cervical spine is well documented by MRI in patients with MS, revealing a close anatomical correspondence between compression of the cervical spinal cord and intraspinal plaques at the same level. Basically, wherever there's degeneration or spondylosis in people with MS, they'll see those lesions at that level, which is really interesting. They go on so far to even mention that in 1996, this goes beyond just research, but a British court even awarded damages based on the rapid onset of multiple sclerosis following a motor vehicle accident. The judge stated that he was satisfied that the plaintiff did sustain a whiplash injury and that the symptoms he later displayed indicated that MS had developed in the very same area which had been affected by the trauma. So this history here, the background here, isn't specific to chiropractic, but just specific to knowing that we are the spine and nervous system experts, and that it's not just chiropractors who are seeing that there are spinal issues that are contributing to MS. It is not just a brain problem. It is not just random. We can see what's causing it, and if we understand what's causing it, we can improve it. And if it's the alignment of the spine that's causing these problems, if we correct the alignment of the spine, then guess what? They're gonna do better. So what this research is looking at is retrospectively. It addresses the histories, the diagnostic tests, and the treatment responses of 81 multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's patients who were cared for in a private practice in Boulder, Colorado over a 5-year period. Of these, 78 of the 81 people who walked in with MS or Parkinson's disease into this practice over the course of 5 years had experienced head or neck trauma prior to disease onset. Of those 81 cases, 44 had MS we're going to be looking at, and 37 had Parkinson's disease. They were asked if they recalled a history of trauma prior to the onset, and they defined trauma as a blow to the head, concussion, whiplash injury, accident, fall, etc. And 98% of the individuals with MS said, yes, I did experience that prior to the onset of my disease, and 95% of Parkinson's cases said yes. They broke down the trauma. They said 39 of those 81 had said they had one or more auto accidents. 29 had multiple blows to the head or neck during sports. 16 fell on icy sidewalks or downstairs. I like that they specifically said icy sidewalks because it reminds me of the B.J. Palmer quote, slip on a snowy sidewalk. I promise I know what I'm talking about. Moving on. One of these people had an accident with heavy machinery. 2 of the females had concussions from domestic abuse. And the last one they had listed, which I find hilarious, is a man who reported getting kicked in the head by a cow. Yes, welcome to Colorado. Concussion because you got kicked in the head by a cow. The duration between the trauma and the onset of the disease varied in all of these cases between 2 months to 30 years. So how they cared for these people was upper cervical chiropractic care. It included paraspinal thermography, laser-aligned upper cervical radiography, knee-chest adjusting posture, post-adjustment recuperations. They found the presence of upper cervical subluxation in all 81 cases. 91% of the MS cases showed improvement, and 92% of the Parkinson's cases showed improvement. 91 and 92% respectively of MS and Parkinson's cases that walked into this practice over a 5-year period saw some improvement in their symptoms. Now, what symptoms specifically are we referencing? Not just neck pain, not just back pain. We're referencing bladder incontinence, cognitive deficits, constipation, depression, extremity numbness and weakness, fatigue, falls, frozen facial expression, freezing, shuffling gait / stutter steps, headaches, handwriting difficulty, Lhermitte sign, low back pain, neck pain, rigidity, spasticity, excess salivation, sleep disorders, slurred speech, swallowing difficulty, tremor, and vision loss. You might say, with a symptom list like that, Dr. Pellegrino, I'm sure you could see improvement in one of those things quite easily, regardless of who it is and regardless of the definition. So how do we know that 91% of them didn't just see improvement in their neck pain? Well, they went ahead and looked. And they said, and they defined and said, broken into categories of what percentage of people saw minor improvements, which they considered to be improvements in less than half of those areas of symptoms, moderate improvement, which is exactly half of those symptoms, whatever they were experiencing, and substantial, which is more than half of the symptoms in that list that they were experiencing. Yes, about half, 47% of Parkinson's cases, right? 47% of the 92% of cases that saw improvement saw substantial, which is improvement in more than half of those areas, which was like 20 different things, and only 2 of them were neck pain, back pain, and a third was headaches. It included bladder incontinence, cognitive deficits, constipation, depression, anxiety, all of these issues that we talk about with the nervous system. 47% of Parkinson's cases and 70% of MS cases. 70% of the people who walked into this office saw improvement in more than half of their MS symptoms over the course of 5 years. 70%. They even had a table where they listed each individual of the 81 people and listed the exact symptoms that they came in with and compared it to what they saw improvements with. So if you guys wanted to look at each one of those things, bladder incontinence, cognitive deficits as well, and run specific numbers to say 20% of the people with cognitive deficits saw improvement, I mean, if you guys want to do that, hit me up and I'll send you the research study and then we'll put out a graph together. All right. But I don't want to do that right now. So you guys can do that. Just email me at team@ChiroEdgeMedia.com. Guys, this is awesome. This study is so cool. It's so cool to just see these lives change. And we can know, and this is from 2004, so we have so much more data and so much research that goes from that point forward that showed exactly how these changes happen and how often they happen using MRI, using upright MRI, which is absolutely fantastic. But the bottom line is that it goes beyond neck and back pain. I hope you don't really need me to tell you that, but it goes beyond neck and back pain. We are seeing lives change in these offices. Now, my office has a huge focus on kids and families, but I love serving cases with MS because we have the exact same results. And we don't use upper cervical. We use torque release techniques. There's a focus on upper cervical care, but it's not about just doing a flying 7, guys. This was really important. We know that it's very specific misalignments, areas of spondylosis, right? Very specific things, upper cervical changes that are going to cause aberrations in the function of the nervous system, that are going to cause aberrations in cerebrospinal fluid flow. So because it's specific issues resulting from whiplash, it's going to take specific adjustments to correct that. I hope you guys kind of took that with you. Now, I want you guys to use this information. I want you guys to go ahead and I want you guys to make a video about this for your practice. Talk about this research in your practice this week. Talk about it, okay? Read the Damadian article I told you about earlier. I'll put it in the show notes as well. Read it and talk about it. Make a video of you talking about it. And tell the community it's MS Awareness Month. People are looking at it. Tell them. Please. They deserve to know. They deserve to know how much better they can do with chiropractic care. They deserve to know what chiropractic care is and what it isn't. They deserve it. You deserve it. All right, guys, I'm Dr. Anthony Pellegrino from ChiroEdge. This was another week of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown. Please go out there and tell them. Our goal, if you remember from last time, is we're doing a 1-month challenge where each week this month we're posting a video about MS together in our practices. We're posting a video, so use this research breakdown to help. Use the all others to help as well. Each week this month we're going to post a video, and we're going to close it out at the end of the month with patient testimonials of people with MS who've gotten amazing results in your practice. We've already had referrals for MS coming in, handing out this handout from last week, which is awesome. We've already have referrals of people coming into the practice. So if you guys want to use this kind of information to stimulate referrals, to stimulate education in your practice, please log on to ChiroEdgeMedia.com. Thank you. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.